The Center for the Less Good Idea is hosting a 3-day event titled Sounding Pictures, Live Scores to Short Silent Films. A selection of short modern silent films will be screened live for the first time. What happens when we look at a silent film collectively and collaboratively, responding with live, improvisational sound, performance, and text? And how does this influence the narrative of the film? Take a look at this.
We have to remember that these things being silent films, it usually doesn't work for the sound to be holding back. Because the sound, in order for the silent film to read, the sound has to be very present. So you have to figure out how to keep responding in a new way to impulses that are being given. So it's really about listening to what the film is proposing. Not always in the same way, but really moving with it. So it's a lot of concentration, actually.
The center's manager, Neo Muyanga, joins us now to tell us more. Neo, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here.
So tell us more about Sounding Pictures.
It comes from thinking about the history of film, the history of storytelling, and how a century ago, pictures used to be silent, and an audience member could make up part of the story. So you had speech bubbles, and you had performers on film, but really the audience was participating in completing the rest of the image. And I'm thinking about how we can capture some of that feeling, some of that call and response between performer and audience in an age where all of our ocular senses, all of our storytelling senses are being fed information that's almost prepackaged. So it's an experiment in how to co-create in an improvised, almost a spontaneous way with an audience.
Why is this so important? What inspired this journey?
I'm interested in listening. I'm interested in what storytelling tells us about who we are and how we listen to what it is that comes out when we express who we are in the stories we decide to tell. Mm-hmm. I'm also interested in how crossing disciplines helps us articulate better things that don't have words. So when we approached the filmmakers, some of them have never actually made a short film before, and many of them have never made a silent film before. So it was asking them to work outside of their comfort zone, and the musicians, some of them have never accompanied a film before. So it was about how you can find a place in your practice that is new, that is asking you to explore further to what you think your confines creatively are. And I think that allows us to discover new things about ourselves.
I'd like to expand on that a little bit more in terms of crossing disciplines and how it connects to silent films, and especially how it connects to finding a place in your specific space, wherever that may be.
Yeah. Well, I think we are a country that has many, many stories to tell. And I think we forget the iconic stories that we have to tell. And what I'm looking for always is a way to reflect on our recent history, our long-term history, and to tell it anew, and to negotiate our understanding of who we are today. So it's a way of knowing ourselves. It's a way of knowing ourselves as a collective. And it's an opportunity to rediscover some of the things we've forgotten. So a lot of the silent films engage with archival material that was filmed during the colonial era, material that was filmed during the apartheid era, material that asks us to remember some of how we got where we are.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the films, particularly the ones that you'll be showcasing on the day?
Yes. One of the films we're featuring is by Melissa Bongela Davis, who has made a beautiful film called Minusutando, which I collaborated with her on. But I then asked her to think more expansively around a chapter in that film and how that could be explored through silence. And her film is about how she grew up in the Transkei. And after the democratic dispensation of 1994, that country that she grew up and was taught to be proud of disappeared. So it's about how she reconfigures her understanding of her identity, her selfhood, inside of this new democratic South Africa. And a negotiation that involves people who don't recognize the leap of faith that has to be taken into account to be yourself, to still feel like you existed before 94 and continue to subsist afterwards. So it's a conversation, she's featuring a conversation that she's been having with her editor around archival footage, the establishment of apartheid, the establishment of the homeland system, and what it's meant in the current dispensation. So she's proposing very abstract imagery, and then the musical ensemble finds a way to collaborate with it and to bring it to a presence today.
Fantastic. Neo, tell us more about your background and how your personal and professional journey have prepared you for this moment.
I'm a composer. I write, these days, a lot of opera, but I used to write a lot of popular music. So we made a band and we used to play quite a lot in the city. So my background is in storytelling through music and through sound. I've written quite a lot of film scores, and this idea really comes from about 7 years ago. I collaborated with the Eye Museum in Amsterdam, who kind of handed over an archival film that was shot here in this part of the world in 1930. It's called The Rose of Rhodesia. It's a dramatic film about the theft of a very precious diamond and how the local community fights to get it back. And there's a corollary there to the fight for freedom, the fight for a return of land, the fight for museum artifacts. And so I made a score that spoke about the contemporary issues of repatriating artworks, but I was also trying to refer to that era of 100 years ago.
Oh, that is a big conversation. So last but certainly not least, if you could just, I mean, first and foremost, who's your audience? Like, who are you targeting? And then also, how can people tap into this incredible upcoming showcase?
Well, tickets are available for sale right now. The website is lessgoodidea.com, and people can very well decide whether they want to see the whole series. It lasts over 3 days, or you could choose specific selections that you might want to select over the 3 days. My hope is that the audience is everybody who's interested in contemporary South African culture, contemporary South African music and dance and film. It's interdisciplinary. We are in Maboneng at Arts on Main. So it's hopefully some people who are interested in what is happening, what is electrifying downtown. It's people who are interested in what stories are being told in the hidden corridors of this country.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. That was Center for the Less Good Idea impresario, Neo Muyanga.